Welcome back, everyone. Sorry about that. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties here getting our second match lined up. So it looks like here, unfortunately, we weren't unable to get a hold of Swede. I know it's pretty late over there, so I don't know if we just maybe missed him. He might have missed the pings or something, but we're going to be subbing in Woke Flossie. So give me a minute while I go ahead and update this. I have no clue what team Woke Flossie is currently using. So we're just going to have her card and not her team.
Yeah, and this should be pretty interesting because we already see it from tactical side in Mudbray. I know this was a discussion a bit in the Friendlies chat in the Discord and things of that sort of what exactly Mudbray does do. And I will say I'm not particularly sure, and it's supposed to be a great surprise, is what I have heard. So I am ready to see what it does.
I'm seeing the Mudbray is not even battle ready, so they might have to be using the battle tower rules here. Hopefully everything on that Mudbray is a VGC legal moveset as well, and it's just not battle ready from a past generation.
Yeah, I will say the one issue we run into here is if any of the Pokemon are below level 50, they cannot be used in battle. Well, they can be, but they will still be below level 50 using the battle tower rules. So I hope that is something Woke Flossie is aware of at the moment. And hopefully that is not an issue. Hopefully all the Pokemon are above level 50. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, really exciting stuff here. I'm curious to see what this Mudbray does. Looking at it, I'm not sure what it does that a Mudsdale doesn't do.
Yeah, I also am not particularly sure what it does. I was looking through its moveset earlier, and I didn't find anything out of the ordinary that it gets that it can take advantage of that Mudsdale can't, so I'm very interested to see what niche it has on this specific team.
Yeah.
It does look like that every Pokemon on the opposing side of the field is level 50, so we should not be having any issues here, but we do see a Xerneas team with Gallade, Colossal, Sneasel, and then the Indeedee female and Alakazam.
Yeah, so there's a lot of modes here for Woke Flossie to be able to take advantage of. You have access to Redirection plus Geomancy. You have access to Psy-Spam as well with that Indeedee plus Alakazam mode. You've got the Colossal mode as well with the Sneasel being, the option of self-proc there with Aqua Jet. When you look at your opponent's team, you see there is no option here for self-proc or redirection. I'm sorry, not self-proc. There's no option for redirection, so self-proc feels incredibly free from that Colossal. I know that it's also been pointed out here that Woke Flossie is undefeated off the bench. Well, she was able to step up and play in a last-second game a little while ago against a battler we'll be featuring later on stream today, Sir Zordor. But yeah, I'm excited to see what Amy can pull out. I don't know anything about this team or how much she's been using it or what she's been practicing with, but she is always always super helpful and ready to step up at the last second when we've got issues with connections. So excited here. Yeah. We're gonna have Tactical against Woke Flossie. Let's see what these leads are.
Yeah, I will say I am not particularly sure what I would lead against either of these teams if I was playing in either player situation. But we see like the Xerneas and Indeedee, the Redirection plus the Geomancy setup against the Zapdos and Mudbray. So we get to see right off the bat, what does Mudbray do?
I've got a feeling it doesn't want to take a +2 Dazzling Gleam.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think either of these Pokemon... Well, to be fair, there's nothing that resists Dazzling Gleam on tactical side of the field. Although, Calyrex pretty much resists it with how bulky that thing is. It took, like, full-powered Water Spout doing, like, 30% damage on some things that I've seen, which is ridiculous.
Well, here it is right off the bat. We're about to see a Dynamax Mudbray here on turn number 1. How much do you think this does into Indeedee even after the coaching?
I'd say it does like 60%, 75% maybe.
Yeah. Max Steel Spike.
Plus one max. It's Steel Spike? Oh, that's doing like 60%.
Yeah.
Quake would probably do like 75 maybe. I don't know what Mudbray's attack stat is, to be completely honest. It's probably something like 90, which I guess isn't particularly good. And not using a non-stab move is probably not the best way to go. But this could be a frailer Indeedee, so we don't know.
Yeah, we did see it was the Psychic Seed variant, so that Procton coming in. Usually those tend to be a little bit bulkier. You can get away with not investing as much Spadef, guaranteeing getting the +1 Spadef immediately. Now this Xerneas goes ahead and uses its Power Herb, gonna go ahead and get Geomancy up in one turn, boosting all of its stats right off the bat. And after this turn, going to be completely protected and able to go for something like just a a max Starfall next turn, or really whatever you want.
So we do see the max Quake, and it is almost enough to KO at +1. It is nice getting the max Quake special defense boost, and having the chance at a Steel Spike next turn could do a lot of damage to the Xerneas, so potentially the Xerneas needs to Dynamax and something like a Helping Hand Starfall into the Mudbray could KO it, or we could just see a Follow Me Dazzling Gleam to chunk both of these Pokemon. Pretty much, I would say like a +2 Dazzling Gleam is doing 50% to this Mudsdale, even at +1 special defense.
Yeah, and it's a Mudbray too, not even a Mudsdale there, so...
Oh, did I say Mudsdale?
Yeah, you did. You gave it the benefit of being a Mudsdale.
Yeah. The one issue, I believe we saw that the Zapdos is Focus Sash here. So, yeah, it will be able to pick off this Indeedee before the Indeedee can, so the Indeedee cannot redirect something like a Steel Spike, and this Steel Spike might do a lot of damage at +1. So, potentially something like a Max move or even like a Protect Expanding Force would have been a little bit safer, and then bringing something else in the back. Because this might just KO Xerneas right here.
Oh, it goes for the Max Quake, so not going to be super effective damage here. It will be Stab. Getting another boost, and that's just enough right there.
Yeah, I will say that
critical hit.
That critical hit probably did matter, I will say. Because it took out the Indeedee, or didn't take out the Indeedee, and Indeedee is much frailer than Xerneas.
Yeah.
So I will say, I mean, Woke Flossie's adjustment in Game 2 will probably be to just Dynamax that Xerneas and just go straight for the Mudbray.
Yeah.
Realizing that, hey, as long as I can kind of just ignore the Zapdos, or I can take it to Sash and KO it on the same turn.
Yeah, so now we see an interesting adjustment here with Gallade, a Pokemon I really haven't seen very much in VGC in this series. Perhaps this is why Woke Flossie was preserving the Dynamax for this Colossal in the back. Even unboosted, it should be outspeeding this Mudbray, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Probably. I will say, does Gallade get Aqua Jet or some form of self-proc? I don't think it does, but...
I think it gets, Trick Room, probably also Expanding Force, if I had to guess, but its attack stat is better than its special attack stat, so...
It gets, Quick Guard and Wide Guard, and... I'm not particularly sure what we're going to see here. We do see the Colossal Dynamax in the face of a +2 special defense, +1 attack Mudbray, with super effective threatening hit. So yeah, I assume we were going to see the Wide Guard, or the Max Guard there. But this Mudbray is kind of unkillable at this point, I would say, from what's left on the field.
Yeah. I guess we'll see the Eviolite giving it that extra little bit of bulk here. The Gallade reveals its attack here as Zen Headbutt. Gonna go ahead and pick off that Focus Sash on the Galarian Zapdos here. So Mudbray attacking into the Max Guard. That's gonna be the last turn of Dynamax here from this Mudbray.
Yeah. So we did see the Mudbray put in work, but again, my question is, how is this better than potentially a Assault Vest Mudsdale?
Yeah.
And what does it do differently? And the question, maybe it might be more physically bulky if it has Protect. It has the ability to go for Protect and still keep a lot of its bulk. So that's something important. It's also interesting to note that potentially this Gallade could have Ally Switch, I believe, along with its Comfy now going for it and having Ally Switch. So that's something important to know. And it's going to be very difficult for a Colossal to deal with a super boosted ground type with a super effective move.
Yeah.
Although... it is Mudbray, and I wouldn't be surprised if +2 high horsepower doesn't KO Colossal.
Yeah, Mudbray's attack stat going to be less than Mudsdale's. I'm curious. Let's go ahead and pull up that calc. If anyone in chat can look up and see Mudbray's base attack stat. This is not something I thought I'd have to know. In VGC most of the time, we see a Zen Headbutt here, originally targeting into what was that Comfey, and is now that Mudbray. Gonna go ahead and get another physical attack boost, or another physical defense boost here as the G-Max Volcalith comes out into, again, what was that Comfy, and is now the Mudbray. Takes that pretty well, gets another proc here onto its physical defenses.
Yeah, and we see the high horsepower is enough to KO that Colossal. So at this point, a Gallade is not going to be able to 3v1, especially knowing you either have to stop Trick Room for the Calyrex in the back, or take damage from this Mudbray, and you don't particularly want to do either. So I guess that it would be like somehow be Bright Powder Gallade and dodge every single move for the rest of the game, because otherwise there's not really a chance here.
Yeah, so Mudbray is base 100 attack versus the base 125 attack from Mudsdale, so
Okay.
respectable at 100, I guess. But again, it just kind of feels like Mudsdale with an Assault Vest here is probably ultimately going to be better for you.
Yeah, I will say, yeah. It is important to know that like the crit was probably very big in KOing the Xerneas. Because if the Xerneas wasn't KO'd there, you could then bring in the Gallade and then double target the Mudbray and get that KO with like a Dazzling Gleam and a Zen Headbutt, and then bring your Colossal in pretty freely against only a Calyrex and a Comfy in the back. But it's important to know that like Woke Flossie now knows that it's Sash Zapdos and can kind of play a little bit safer around that.
Yeah.
And not put yourself in position to take a super strong, super boosted attack from the Mudbray.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that it's important that Indeedee also lived the coaching, the +1 Max Quake on the first turn. So knowing that you can just go ahead and get a Geomancy up and potentially get an attack off into that Mudbray from a Max Starfall, going to do a whole lot more than that Dazzling Gleam did. Even at +1 special defense, I don't know. What do you think? You think it lives?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. But it's a really interesting... I feel like this is just a really interesting game because Mudbray is something you don't really calc for ever. So like maybe that's its advantage against Mudsdale, but like just assume Mudsdale damage and assume it does like more when you attack it and less when it attacks you.
Yeah.
I would say is the way to go about it. And it also is important to know that like Mudbray's got a very good matchup versus Colossal, but not a particularly great matchup versus Xerneas. So Woke Flossie has to take advantage of the good Xerneas matchup versus the Pokemon on the opposing side of the field and go from there.
Yeah, here's the thing I missed that I mean, Eviolite helps this out a lot, but Mudbray has a 55 base SPDEF versus Mudsdale at, what was it, 100? Let me double check that, 85. So 55 to 85, so 30%, swing there. So that 1.5 times boost from that assault, from the Eviolite definitely helps out.
Yeah, I think, that's like a big deal. And we also know that the Zapdos is not particularly fast, which is something important to note. Because the Gallade outsped it, and we know the Gallade, I guess we don't know the Gallade wasn't Scarf.
Yeah, I think we did only see Zen Headbutt.
But we can assume that the Gallade is not Scarf, in which case, like, the Zapdos is not max speed and is probably very bulky because Gallade is not a particularly fast Pokemon in comparison to the base 100 Zapdos is. I think Gallade's probably somewhere around base 80. I know Gardevoir is base 80, so I would assume Gallade is also that. So
yeah.
We're just going to see a turn 1 Dynamax again from this Mudbray, and we're probably going, as we saw, we're going to see Coaching and Max Quake once again, and let's see if Woke Flossie has something to stop it this time.
Yeah, I'm curious here. Another Geomancy up is probably relatively safe, especially if you plan on Dynamaxing your Xerneas. You're going to get a whole lot of damage off and, be able to go ahead and get a KO here. So, Indeedee with the Follow Me here, you don't want to have to risk taking a, super effective attack, even from a +1 Mudbray here, before you need to.
It is important to note that the Zapdos is faster than the Xerneas, so either it was Scarf Gallade, and these are both max speed Zapdos and Xerneas, or neither the Xerneas nor the Zapdos were max speed, and the Gallade was just faster.
Yep. So here we see again the power go off. Geomancy, a staple of VGC, gets another boost here for the Xerneas. Xerneas is a Pokemon that hasn't seen as much success here in Series 8 relative to some of the other counterparts like Tornogre or some of the other more common sets lately, but I think it can still be really dangerous.
Yeah, its biggest issue is it doesn't deal with the steel types particularly well. So I think Xerneas is best paired with something like Charizard or something just like a Sun Mode with Torkoal and Venusaur and things like that to deal with your strong steel types. In which case maybe it's just like better to use a different restricted in general. So it'll be very interesting to see what Woke Flossie chooses to do here, whether or not it be like Helping Hand Dynamax or still. I would assume you don't go for the Follow Me Dazzling Gleam again, because you saw how that got you something, like didn't get you anywhere last game.
Yeah, for sure. I think that basically the Xerneas has to probably go for something like a Dynamax, or the one other thing we could see is, I don't know, Indeedee Ally Switch? Does Indeedee get Ally Switch?
It does get ally switch. I don't think it's a. Think it does get ally switch.
That's the only thing that could potentially, you take a Thunderous Kick into your Xerneas, and then you take the other attack into the Indeedee and avoid the max attack coming from this Mudbray. But we do see a Dynamax Xerneas here. Go ahead and get big, going for some big max Starfall damage here. If we see the Helping Hand come out, it's going to be a ton of damage.
Yeah. Oh, we just see a Steel Spike instead. Again, not going for the Follow Me is like, I would say a pretty safe play, knowing that the Zapdos is just going to take it out anyways. Potentially you could have gone for something like a Quake there. Or not a Quake there, a Protect there, just to avoid getting KO'd by the Zapdos, because this is KOing no matter what. But an interesting thing now is that we see the Dynamax Xerneas, so potentially something like the Alakazam could be in the back as opposed to the Colossal. How much do you think this is doing? 50%?
Oh, not even. Hey, Pokemon Noob, thanks so much for the follow. Welcome to the ATX VGC Monday Night Friendlies.
And we're about to get another.
Oh, and thanks so much, yeah. Thanks for the raid, Saiyan. What's up? How's it going, man? We're really excited. We're going to be featuring Saiyan on stream here in a little bit. We saw that that Xerneas ate up that Max Steel Spike pretty well. We got super chat.
Thank you so much for the resubscription as well, Saiyan.
Yeah.
3 months in a row now at this point. And Saiyan is up next, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. Saiyan is in game 2 against Wolf. Not that Wolf, but maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, we do see Alakazam as the new Pokemon of choice for Wolfossi here. And because it was a Steel Spike and not a Starfall, you still have boosted Expanding Force coming out here.
Yeah, really heads up play. Ooh.
Well, now you don't have boosted Expanding Force.
Yeah, now there's no more. But that does so much damage. If that Mudbray is targeted, I think it's not going to really like to take this one.
If that was a Mudsdale, it would have done a lot less. Although it probably still had to a KO.
Yep, we do see Daisy get another stamina boost here as Alakazam goes for the Expanding Force, unfortunately not recognizing the speed interaction here where she could have potentially taken a 2-hit KO with another Steel Spike.
Yeah. We're going to see the Max Quake this time. Probably, I would assume into the Alakazam if it's a Quake. Oh, nope, into the Xerneas, doing like 25-30%.
Yeah.
And this is a lot better of a position, I will say, if you're Wolfossi than it was before. I will say, just imagine if Xerneas got Expanding Force. Wouldn't it be great?
Oh, it would be one thing that could help Xerneas in this meta right now with Zacians running around everywhere just trying to, do it plus.
That's what I need. I need
plus one Behemoth
better
Blade.
Xerneas. I need Xerneas to be good. Are we going to see a... Oh, no, not a Protect Ally Switch. We're going to see a Trick Room in Protect. Although, I would assume if you're Wolfossi, you have, like, Imprison Trick Room Alakazam, or you're just going to double into the Comfy, just covering everything. Because I think generally when there's a Comfy on the field, Comfy's not clicking Protect, so doubling it is always the safe play.
Yeah.
I will say I did lose in top 4 of Pokepod Cup to Protect Comfy, and it was very annoying to play against because I had Protect, Ally Switch, and Trick Room, and I was like, I don't know which one it's going for. So
yeah, as people are noting, I am coming to you live from Cancun. Heidi Cruz texted me. We do see the Protect. That is the one distinction from an Assault Vest Mudsdale, and it almost is enough to KO through. But I think that Trick Room might be getting up here.
Yeah, I think you should I think the play is there is always to go for the Comfy, knowing that the Comfy is either going to Ally Switch and you get the partner, or the Comfy is going to Trick Room and you let the Trick Room not go off. And instead, you only get about 30%, I would assume, off into this Comfy. And now it feels like it's just going to be a Glacial Lance sweep at this point.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty tough to battle back from that Glacial Lance. Now that Trick Room is up with this Comfy, we haven't seen Wolfossi's 4th Pokemon. We don't know what's in the back for her, if there's some way of dealing with this or reversing Trick Room. Potentially the Alakazam is carrying Trick Room. We've seen Dazzling Gleam. We've seen Expanding Force. It potentially has the Sash on this team. I don't think we've seen a Focus Sash yet from her team. And I believe most Psy Spam Alakazams tend to have that Focus Sash. So it would force a double here from Tactical if he wants to try and deny the Trick Room reversal here. We see the Floral Healing going ahead and getting this Mudbray back up. Another 50% health here.
Yeah, and if this Alakazam doesn't have Trick Room, it's going to be a really scary spot to be in, as we see the Heavy Slam go into the Xerneas Protect.
Man, Alakazam has the Trick Room, goes for it. A good play by Wolfossi there.
I will say, does Heavy Slam the weight difference is what matters, not the
Yeah.
weight of your opponent. So this Mudbray Heavy Slam is going to do like 4% into Xerneas.
Yeah, it's going to do far less than Mudsdale again.
Yeah.
So we
And
did
now
see the one
something
tech.
like Dazzling Gleam should be free here, right?
Yeah, I think that does probably just enough. Like, this Comfy's not going to want to take a Dazzling Gleam from the Xerneas. But yeah, this Mudbray has come back up to full health here. But it's, only at +1 on its attack, so not really going to be threatening nearly as much damage as last time around.
And that was enough to take out the Comfy. Also, the important thing to note is that the Xerneas does have Flash Cannon, which is super effective into Calyrex. But as we see the Imprison this turn, not as important. And yeah, we do see high horsepower is another critical hit, and is enough to get the KO.
Yeah.
Based on the last damage we saw from from the Max Quake, I don't think that was enough to KO on its own.
No, especially considering that there was +2 defense on that Xerneas from 2 Max Steel Spikes. Or was it only 1 Max Steel Spike? No, it was 2.
It was 2 Max Steel Spikes, yeah.
Yeah.
That would not be enough to KO otherwise. And another thing, though, is that Wolfossi could have gone for an attacking move with the Alexander this turn, knowing that the Comfy was going down, and instead didn't get the attack off because of just assuming that the Comfy potentially did not go down and wanted to like block that Trick Room, which could have happened, so it's understandable, but it ends up being a worse position, getting very unlucky with crits in both games 1 and game 2.
Yeah, really rough stuff here for Wolfossi. In this positioning, Colossal doesn't really want to take any kind of ground type move, and both of these Pokemon are threatening ground type moves into it. Potentially, do you see something like an Alakazam attack and maybe a Protect coming out from this Colossal, trying to delay a turn? Or, I don't know, what do you think you see here?
I mean, yeah, I think you do see the Protect in either Expanding Force or Dazzling Gleam. I think Expanding Force into Mudbray gets you the most, unless this KOs, which it does not.
Does nothing.
And I don't even think like an Expanding Force plus a Heat Wave KOs the Mudbray at this point. So it's, unless you can dodge a couple of high horsepowers, or yeah, now you don't even have the high horsepower option to dodge. You just have the Heavy Slam doing just under 50%.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah, it comes down to dodging high horsepowers here. So you just got to click the Heat Wave and Dazzling Gleam button at this point, which is rough to see.
Yep. Recognizing that last time around that Heavy Slam not really going to be doing a whole lot into Alakazam. This Alakazam, again, just not really doing that much, but potentially, nope. The high horsepower is just going to be enough to take out that Colossal.
Faster, high horsepower than Speed tiers are very strange, and yeah, at that point, hitting this high horsepower it's just all but. I mean, at this point, you can't even like Dazzling Gleam double crit, even if this high horsepower doesn't hit. And Tactical Knowledge wins with the Mudsdale.
Yeah.
Or Mudbray.
Mudbray again.
A very lucky Mudbray at that, getting the necessary crits onto Xerneas 2 games in a row.
Yeah, that Mudbray should go ahead and head to Vegas right now and go ahead and put it all on black, because I don't think that Mudbray's KOing if it weren't for 2 crits in both games.
Yeah, I think the game 1 crit, like, it did matter, but didn't matter as much because it was a position where like the Mudbray was still in position to sweep with everything in the back. It's the game 2 crit that really mattered. Tactical probably had game 1 sealed after not the nose Dynamax in game 1. But the game 2 was a pretty rough crit considering that it was probably enough to KO.
Yeah.
The Xerneas probably could have swept that game otherwise.
Yeah, for sure. Xerneas was in a really good position with +2 Steel Spikes, +2 Special Defense, +2 Speed, +2 Special Attack, all the boosts going on. Pretty healthy position, but unfortunately that crit there from a +1 Mudbray was enough to go ahead and take it out. So that's going to be it from game number 1.